Hello, I'm so glad that you could join me today. Today I'm thinking about perfection. So, thinking about perfection in terms of how trying to be perfect at something can actually slow you down and hold you back. Um, Thinking about sometimes working on something, just tweaking and working and tweaking, and then by the time you're finished working on it, whatever you're working on might have become obsolete. Um, Also, perfecting something that wasn't worth perfecting. Maybe thinking about taking a step, maybe failing and finding out something new, maybe about yourself, about something you're working on. So, as we go through practice today, start to think about in your practice where you might be trying to be perfect and letting go and maybe finding something new about yourself. So let's start on our backs. Just to settle in to our practice, I'm going to keep my knees up today. I'll put my feet wide and have my knees knocked together. You could have your legs straight and have your arms out to your side with your palms up. And just feel yourself settling in. So if you notice that your mind is very noisy, if you have a lot of things going on, just draw your attention to your breath. You could start to notice the physical sensations of your breath, feeling the air coming in through your nostrils, coming down your throat into your lungs. And then as you exhale, watching the reverse, the air pushing out of your lungs, coming up your throat and out your nose. So take a moment to focus on the physical aspects of your breath. Breathing in and out. And call to mind some place in your life where you might be stuck. And think about if the reason that you're stuck is you're trying to be too perfect. And think about what would happen if you allowed yourself to just let things as they are. And knowing that sometimes it's okay to be good enough. So take a breath in and let the air go through your mouth. Big sigh. And let's do that one more time. So take a full deep breath in all through your breathing space. And then just let the air go. Now you can draw your knees to your chest, bring your hands to your knees. We're just going to do some hip circles. So bringing your knees maybe out and around to rotate your hip joint. And we'll do that a couple times. And then we'll move in the opposite direction. So it doesn't matter what direction you started in. Just moving, opening up, kind of lubricating those joints. And then we'll bring our feet up to the sky. You can have your knees bent. You might feel that you're a little bit tight in your hamstrings, the muscle in the back of your leg. And we're just going to do a little movement with breath. So breathe in, draw your toes towards your face and your fingers towards your face. And then exhale, point your toes and bring your wrists down, pointing down. And we'll do that a couple times with breath. So flexing and pointing your wrist and ankle joints. One more time. And down. And then we're going to do a little bit of having our minds work a little bit with our bodies. So draw your right hand and left foot out to the side, maybe about a foot, as you exhale. And then breathe in as you come to center, and then do the opposite side. So right foot and left hand off to the side, exhale, and breathe in. And let's try that a couple times. And knowing sometimes when you're doing these opposite body movements, it can feel awkward and get out of your comfort zone. So right hand, left foot, left hand. And then come back to center. And then you can put your arms and feet down. And we're just going to roll to our sides just for a moment. Come to a seated position. And you could have your legs out in front of you or your legs crossed, whatever feels comfortable for you. Sit up tall, really feel your sitting bones grounding into the earth. Draw your shoulders down and back, so feel an openness in the front side of your body. We'll do a couple of just gentle neck stretches. So draw your left ear to left shoulder. And we'll hold this for a couple of breaths. And just notice tension coming out the right side of your neck. When you're ready to take a breath in, let your head just rise up. And then we'll go to the right side. Just slowly, gentle, just really isolating that small space between your neck and shoulder. Maybe drawing attention to your breath once again. Feeling the tension dripping out the left side. And then when you're ready to take a breath in, let your head just come up. So we'll take a deep breath in, bring your arms up, stretching, reaching, and we're going to bend to the left. But as we're bending here, draw your belly in so that your back is in a little bit of a C shape. And bend to the side. And what I'm looking for today is an opening in the side of my body all the way down to the back of my hip. So feeling opening in the lower back. So you could bring your left hand to grasp your right. And as you're stretching here, move around, maybe tucking in your belly and finding a spot where this stretch feels good for your body. Maybe it feels good to open up a little bit, but just not finding perfection, but finding what your body needs. So then we'll come back to center as you breathe in and then go to the other side. So go to the right side, first to the side, maybe tucking your belly in, making your spine into a little bit of a C shape, and just playing around with that stretching movement and seeing where your body needs a stretch. So come back to center, reach your fingers, really drawing up to the sky, and then as you exhale, bring your arms down to your sides. So we'll come to an all fours position, tabletop. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, and your hips, your knees will be about hip width distance apart. So we'll start by feeling out what feels good to you, maybe moving side to side, front to back might feel good for you. If you're moving front to back, maybe sinking back towards child's pose. Maybe incorporating some cat-cow movement, so drawing your chin and tailbone up, and then exhaling, drawing your chin towards your chest, arching your spine. And once again, feeling out what feels good for you. Maybe the cat-cows feel good. Maybe sinking towards child's pose is what you need right now. So we'll come back to a neutral spine, and then curl your toes, bring your knees off the ground, and then draw your hips up towards the sky, keeping your knees quite bent, and let your neck relax. You could give a yes-no shake to your head, and then start to pedal your heels. So draw one heel to the ground, and then the next with breath. So slowly breathing in and out. And let's do that a couple times. Breathing in and out, just opening up the space in the back of your leg. So now draw your hips up towards the sky and draw your heels towards the earth. And just feel that length along the back of your leg. Now look to your hands, and we'll take baby steps up to your hands and come to a halfway lift. So have a really straight, flat back, the crown of your head facing forward. Hinge and fold with your knees very bent. Let your neck relax. Press into the earth to rise up, reaching, extending. Bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Press your feet into the earth as you bring your arms up, reaching, extending. Hinge and fold, drawing your hands through your heart center first. Tense your fingers. Step your right foot back into low lunge. Now plant your hands, step your left foot back into downward dog. Take a breath in as you come to all fours. Exhale, sink into child's pose. We'll take one breath here. Breathe in as you come into all fours. And then curl your toes, bring your hips high and back to downward dog. Look to your hands, walk your feet up to your hands and come to halfway lift. Hinge and fold, and then press into the ground to rise up. Bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Take another full deep breath in, reach, extending. Draw your hands through your heart, hinge and fold, tense your fingers. Now step your left foot back into low lunge. Plant your hands, step your right foot back into downward dog. Breathe in, come to all fours. Breathe out, sink into child's pose. From here, you could draw your hands reaching out in front of you and tense your fingers to get a little bit of a stretch in your arms and shoulder region. Bring your hands back down as you take your breath in. Come to all fours. Curl your toes, bring your hips high and back to downward dog. So once again, drawing your hips up to the sky and bringing your heels towards the ground. Let your neck relax. We'll take one breath here. Now look to your hands. Walk your feet up to your hands and come to halfway lift. Hinge and forward fold, and then press into the ground as you rise up, reaching, extending, and actually reach so high that you stand on your tippy toes just for a moment. Draw your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Let's do one more round of sun salutation. So take a full deep breath in. Bring your hands through your heart center, tense your fingers, step your right foot back into low lunge. Step your left foot back into plank. You could come to plank on knees if that's more comfortable. In plank pose, draw your heels towards the back of the room and really tuck your belly into your spine. So come to your knees. Now draw your arms together to squeeze your sides and lower all the way to your belly, resting your forehead on your mat. When you're ready to take a breath in, press the tops of your feet into the earth and bring your chest up just a tiny bit, really focusing on drawing your shoulders down and back. So not craning your neck too much. And then lowering down. So let's come up to that position 2 more times. So once again, press your feet into the earth, the tops of your feet into the earth, and bring your chest up, shoulder blades down and back. Almost like you're drawing your elbows together, squeezing your sides. So activating all of those muscles in your upper back. And lowering down. And let's do that one more time. Take a breath in, your chest up, and lower down. As you breathe in, press yourself back up to all fours, curl your toes, bring your hips high and back to downward dog. Lift your right foot up to the sky, and we'll do big circles with your leg. So once again, really moving your hip joint, moving your leg in your hip joint. So opening up your hip. I guess not really opening up your hip, more like lubricating your hip joint is a better way to put it. Okay, put your right foot down. Now look to your hands. Walk your feet up to your hands and come to halfway lift. And then hinge and forward fold, and then press into the ground to rise up. Bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Okay, let's do the other side. So take a full deep breath in. Hinge and fold, bringing your hands through your heart center. Step your left foot back into low lunge. Now plant your hands and step your right foot back into plank or plank on knees. And we'll hold plank for a breath. Now bring your knees to the earth. Place the tops of your feet on the mat and squeeze your sides as you lower all the way to your belly. So press the tops of your feet into the earth, bring your chest up, maybe rising a little bit higher into cobra, but still drawing shoulders down and back, still feeling activation in your upper back, but maybe a little bit of strength building in your lower back. And lower down. Press into the ground, first into all fours, and then curl your toes on your way to downward dog. Breathe in, lift your left leg up to the sky. Make those big circles with your leg, choosing one direction to start with, and then moving to the other side. So place your left foot down, walk your feet up to your hands and come to halfway lift. Hinge and fold, and then press into the ground to rise up, reaching and extending, and let's stand on our tippy toes, really reaching as far as you can, and then bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. So come to mountain pose or Tadasana at the front of your mat, and we'll take a grounding your feet into the earth about hip distance apart, and just feel all corners of your feet pressing into the earth. Notice what your knees are doing, and see if you can just give a little tiny micro bend to your knees. So activating that muscle, so you're holding your leg bones up with your muscles instead of your knee joint. Now stand up tall, shrug your shoulders up to your ears, and then draw your shoulders down and back to open up. So if it feels okay, gently close your eyes, or you can find a spot just to focus on in front of you. And we'll take a couple of breaths here, just feeling what sensations you feel in your body. Maybe you can take a moment to listen to your heart beating. And know that you are perfect without having to work to be perfect. So take a full deep breath in, press your feet into the ground, bringing your arms up to the sky. And we're going to do that side bend again standing. So bring your body to the left. So once again, we're going to play around here, finding a stretch that feels good. So maybe in this first position, it feels good to stretch this side of your body. I'm going to try that position where you draw your belly into your spine and have just a slight bend to your spine. Maybe holding on to your right hand, your right wrist with your left hand. And then maybe feeling an opening along the outside of your hip as you do this stretch. And if that doesn't work for you, you could maybe open up a little bit. So maybe feeling more of that stretch along the front side of your body. Or maybe kind of moving in and out just to feel out what your body needs in this moment, in this time. Notice your knees if they locked again, and just give that small micro bend. When you're ready to take a breath in, come back to center, and then we'll move to the other side. So this time, moving to the right, possibly holding on the wrist of your left hand with your right hand, and finding out what you need right now. So noticing your breath as you're working into spaces maybe you haven't worked before. And then when you're ready to take a breath in, come back to center. We're going to reach and stretch. Once again, standing on tippy toes. And then bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. So come to the front of your mat. Take a full deep breath in, hinge and fold, and then step your left foot back into a low lunge, but then ground your left foot into the mat. So we're going into a warrior 2 position. So once you have your feet aligned and in a spot that feels stable and comfortable, first rise up, bring your hands to your hips, and then turn your hips to the left, and then draw your arms out to your sides. So from here, feel both of your feet pressing into the earth. Your front knee will be bent at about a 90-degree angle. And notice where your knee is in space. Sometimes there's a tendency for the knee to come into the left. So see if you can open up your hip a little bit, drawing your knee just straight over your toes. So bring your attention to your arms and stretch one direction or the other. So finding length all throughout your body. Flip your right palm and reach overhead. And then as you exhale, come back to warrior 2. And then place your left hand on your left hip, your right elbow to your right knee. And then open up your chest You could bring your left arm up to the sky or maybe overhead. And as you're stretching here, see if once again you can find that openness in the side of your hip. So breathing as you hold the pose, moving in different directions, not finding perfection, but finding what your body needs right now. Now press into your right foot to rise up to Warrior Two, and then cartwheel your hands down to frame your right foot. Step your right foot back into plank. Lower your knees and then lower your belly all the way to the ground, your forehead on the mat. Press up to Cobra, drawing shoulders down and back. Lower down. Now press into the earth, into all fours first. Bring your hips high and back to downward dog. Look to your hands, walk your feet up to your hands and come to halfway lift. Hinge and forward fold. And then press into the ground to rise up. Bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. So once again, take a full deep breath in. Hinge and fold with your hands through your heart. Tent your fingers. This time, step your right foot back, planting your right foot into the mat, maybe at about a 45-degree angle, and play around a little bit here to find a foot placement that feels good to you. And then when you're ready, press both feet into the earth and rise up, first with your hands on your hips. Now turn your hips to the right, hips and chest to the right, and then draw your arms out to the side for Warrior Two. Gazing out over your left fingertips, finding that openness across your chest. Maybe pressing a little bit more into the knife edge of your back foot, really feeling the strength in your back leg, but then also feeling the strength pressing your left foot into the earth. And move around, finding where your body feels good. Now flip your left palm and reach overhead, stretching into reverse warrior. And then come back to Warrior Two just for a breath. Now place your right hand on your right hip, left elbow to your left knee. Open up your chest by drawing your right shoulder back in space. And then maybe it might feel good to bring your left or your right arm up to the sky, or maybe overhead. So feeling that length all along your right side body, all the way to your hip. And if you're not feeling that exact stretch, that's totally fine. But know that you have the choice to move around to find out what you need in this moment. So press both feet into the earth to rise back up to Warrior Two. And then cartwheel your hands down, framing your left foot, and then step your left foot back into plank, and then lower all the way to your belly, resting your forehead on the mat. Press the tops of your feet into the earth, press up to Cobra, or maybe into Upward Dog, so lifting your knees and thighs off the ground. Lower your body down all the way to the earth. Press up into all fours, curl your toes, bring your hips high and back to Downward Dog. Look to your hands, walk your feet up to your hands to come to halfway lift. Hinge and fold, and then press into the ground to rise up, reaching, extending. Stand on your tippy toes, and then come back, bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. So come to the front of your mat. We're going to do a balance pose. But first we'll start in our mountain pose, Tadasana. So setting yourself up, feet about hip distance apart. Micro bend to your knees, opening up your chest. and we'll take a breath here. So now bring your weight to the, your left foot. So gain most of your balance on your left foot. You could tent the toes of your right foot as you're getting your balance. Having that micro bend to your knee, standing up tall. We're going into tree pose. So you could do tree pose with bringing your right foot to your left ankle, which is a perfectly good spot to find your balance. You could bring your right foot up to the calf of your left foot, or you could bring your foot all the way up to your thigh. Just avoid placing pressure on your knee. So you could have your hands on your hips, maybe on your heart, or maybe all the way up to the sky. And notice maybe you're wobbling a little bit, which is totally fine. That even if you're wobbling and not quote unquote perfect, think about all of the work that you're doing on your standing leg, all those muscles that are twitching and moving, and know that you're building strength in those muscles. Okay, let's take one more breath here, and then bring your hands to your heart, and you can bring your right leg down. And take a full deep breath in, and bring your hands to your heart and to your sides. So let's do the other side. So this time placing most of your weight on your right foot, tenting your left foot, standing up tall, having that little micro bend in your right knee. So many different options for foot placement. You could place your left foot just against your right knee, maybe on your calf, or maybe all the way up to the thigh. Just finding what works for you, where you're at this time. So you could have your hands on your hips or your heart, or maybe all the way up to the sky. And just breathe. Maybe a little bit of movement in your arms. Maybe you're a tree swaying in the wind. And then bring your left foot down, bring your arms to your side. Take a full, deep, glorious breath in. And then bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Okay, let's come to the top of the mat again. So take a full deep breath in, and we're going to hinge and fold and just step back to all fours. Sink into child's pose just for a breath. Come back to all fours, and then find your way to your belly in a way that feels good for you. So you can place your forehead on the tops of your hands. We'll take a breath here. Now bring your arms out in front of you. I have to move back a little bit because I'm right by the wall. And still have your forehead resting on the mat. Now gently lift your forehead off the mat. Lift your left hand and right leg as you inhale. Exhale, lower down. As you breathe in, bring your right hand and right foot up, just bringing your forehead just off the mat a little bit, so not craning your neck, looking at the ground, and exhale. So let's do that with breath. So as you breathe in, left hand, left leg, exhale down. Bring your right hand and left foot up,
and exhale down. Let's do one more on each side. So draw your left hand and right foot up. Exhale down. Breathe in, right hand, left foot up. And exhale down. Take a breath here. Press your hands to your sides, so your hands will be by your chest. Press up into all fours. And once again, sink down into child's pose. From here, place your right hand on the outside of your mat and then bring your left hand over your right, resting your head on your right arm. So once again, feeling the openness along your left side body. And maybe playing around. So maybe stretching your left arm up a little bit further, or maybe not as far. Finding openness and space in your body where you need it, right here, right now. So come back to center. Let all your breath go. Maybe take a breath or two here. And then when you're ready to breathe in, bring your left hand to the outside of your mat and place your right hand on top of your left. Now feeling the openness along your right side body. And you might notice that when you breathe in, you feel even more of an openness. And then exhaling, letting it go. So finding positions and stretches that feel good for you. So now come back to center. Rest your forehead on the mat. Press into all fours and then come to a seated position. So start with your legs in front of you. Now draw your left knee to your chest, sitting up tall. Bring your right hand on top of your left knee. Bring your your left hand up to the sky, and we're just going to twist to the left. So sitting up tall, noticing both of your sitting bones placed evenly on the mat. And just breathing as you hold the twist. We'll take one more breath here. We'll come back to center, straighten your legs, and just do a little counter twist to the right. Come to center. So now bring your right knee to your chest. Place your left hand on your right knee. Bring your left arm up to your right arm up to the sky, and then bring your right arm behind you and twist to the right. So breathing as you hold the pose, bringing awareness to your sitting bones. And as you're twisting, notice if you're holding a lot of tension anywhere and see if there's any part that you can just let go. And come back to center. Bring both of your legs straight. Just take a tiny counter twist to the left. And then sit up straight. And we'll come to I'll just move to the side of my mat. It will come to a forward fold. So bring your arms up to the sky, reaching, stretching. You could start with your toes pointed up and just hinge at your hips and find yourself easing into this pose. So if having your toes pointed flexed feels too much, you can always point your toes to get a little bit of extra length in your fold. But the point isn't to get the most length. The point is to find how you can stretch the back of your legs most efficiently. So sometimes that might mean keeping your toes flexed, but not going down as far. So play with that a little bit. Finding, again, if you need more openness in the back of your legs, feeling more of a stretch, then keep your toes flexed, but don't bend as far. But maybe you need more openness in your lower back. So maybe pointing your toes allows you to bend a little bit further to feel openness in that area. So play around with what feels good to you, but paying attention to your upper body, and make sure you're not holding your neck in an uncomfortable position, letting some of the tension go. So finding that balance between finding the stretch and openness in your lower body, maybe feeling some sensations that could be a little bit comfortable, but never painful, but letting your upper body find some relaxation and letting go. So then you can come up to a seated position. Place your feet on the mat with your knees bent, sitting up tall. We'll come to a boat pose. So you can have your hands at your sides to start. Lift your feet off the ground. So get your balance. You could stay here, which would be perfectly fine. So this time we're balancing on our sitting bones. Maybe bringing your hands up to the sky. Maybe coming into more of a V, so stretching up, really tightening your belly muscles into your spine. Breathing here. And then come down and give yourself a hug. So hug your knees into your chest, maybe resting your forehead towards your knees. And then you can open up, and we're going to go on our backs. So lowering down and have your feet planted on the ground about hip distance apart, and have your heels in a spot where you can just touch your heels with your fingers. So you might have to adjust your feet forward or backward. So now place your right ankle over your left knee. So this might feel like a good enough stretch for you. If you want more of a stretch, lift your left leg off the ground, and you could hold on to the back of your left thigh with your hands. And we're just going to breathe here take a couple breaths here. So it might feel good to roll your ankles. Feel your back pressing into the earth, but then noticing the sensation in your hip and allowing yourself to feel that sensation. And maybe moving around a little bit to find where you need your stretch. And just letting some of that tension flow out of your hip. So we'll take 2 more breaths here. And then you can place your left foot on the mat, uncross your right leg. And then we'll do the opposite side. So bring your left ankle over your right knee, and finding the position that works well for your body. So it could be staying right where you're at with your leg crossed, maybe lifting your right foot off the ground, or maybe holding on to the back of your right leg. And rolling your ankles, maybe one direction and then the next. Maybe rocking from side to side a little bit to feel where you need openness in your hip. And breathing into that area. Letting go. finding what you need right here, right now. And then you can bring your right foot down, uncross your legs, and now draw your knees up to your chest and just wrap your hands around your shins and roll from side to side. So giving your back a nice massage, side to side. And then bring your arms out to your sides. And we're just going to move our knees from side to side. So first to the right as you exhale. Inhale to center. Exhale to the left. And then coming back to center. So you can continue that movement with breath, just side to side. Or if you'd rather, you can bring your knees all the way to the right and find them land, but only if it feels comfortable. So from here, you could feel the stretch. You could maybe place your right hand on your left knee. So feeling openness again in your hip and your lower back. And just letting go. So we'll stay here for a couple breaths, breathing in and out. And then coming back to center and moving to the other side. So this time, maybe placing your left hand on top of your right knee as you feel the opening now along the back of your right hip, lower back. Maybe gazing to the opposite side, so gazing to the right. And just feeling your breath slowing down. Feeling the rest of your body sinking and relaxing and letting go. So come back, bring your knees back to center. Draw your knees into your chest. Wrap yourself into a tiny little ball. Maybe even bringing your forehead towards your knees, compressing. And then expanding. So coming into a full body stretch, reaching, stretching. And then come into your final resting position. So that could be Shavasana with your legs slightly spread apart, your palms up to the ceiling. Maybe it might feel good to have a blanket or a bolster underneath your knees. But come in to a position where you can stay still for the last few minutes of class, just to incorporate all of what we did in our practice. So rest here and feel yourself settling in. So as we did in the beginning of class, draw your attention to the physical sensation of your breath. Follow your breath in through your nose, down past your throat, all the way in, feeling your lungs filling up. And then feel the air moving out of your lungs, up past your throat, and out your nose. And take a couple of those breaths, following the path in and out. feel yourself settling into your mat. So bringing awareness to your arms, letting the muscles of your arms completely relax, and feeling your arms gently settling into the earth. Now bring awareness to your legs. Allow all the muscles of your legs to relax, releasing tension and gently settling in, feeling your legs sinking into the mat. Now bring awareness to your back, your upper back, your mid back, and your low back. And allow all of the muscles of your back to relax and feel your whole backside sinking into the earth. Draw your attention to your neck. Let all of the muscles of your neck and upper shoulders relax. And feel your head cradled into the earth. Notice your face, your jaw, and your tongue, and allow all of the muscles to relax, letting go of tension. You've done the work today. You're perfect just as you are. Now is your time to simply be. Once again, bring awareness to your breath, noticing your inhales and exhales. With each breath brings oxygen and energy back into your body. You might feel this energy bringing wiggles to your fingers and your toes. Bring some movement to your arms and your legs. And then when you're ready, roll on to your right side. You might bring your knees up into a fetal position, resting your head on your right arm. And take a moment here in gratitude, thanking yourself for taking time to practice, taking time to explore and just be and not worry about being perfect. When you're ready, you can press yourself up to a seated position. And once you arrived, you can draw your hands to your heart. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.